While you're perfecting chapter 12 for the third time, other authors are making money. Now, I've seen the perfect book sell 50 copies, while good enough books build entire careers. After spending $90,000 learning this the hard way, I discovered something that's going to challenge everything you know about selling books. The thing is, a lot of authors are actually concerned that their writing isn't good enough. But that internal belief is exactly what's holding them back. I keep seeing this same pattern. Authors spend 2, sometimes 3 years perfecting their first book. They're obsessing over every single word in an 80,000 word manuscript. They'll spend 3 weeks perfecting a single dialogue scene in chapter 7, or obsessing over whether a character description is exactly right. And then what happens is that they launch it with zero market validation, and when it doesn't sell, they're crushed. They blame the market, they blame Amazon's algorithm, so they start thinking they're not cut out for this author business. They blame everything except for the fundamental approach. But here's what I've learned. The writing community has convinced you that a perfect manuscript equals sales. And that is not how it works. After coaching over 300 self-published authors, I started seeing the same pattern everywhere. The authors who treat their books like experiments constantly outperform the ones who treat them like masterpieces. And here's what shocked me the most. One book made 6 figures, had a typo on page 12 that nobody cared about. What worked was the author knowing exactly which emotional triggers worked with their audience. Now, let me give you an example. I had one author who spent 3 years crafting what she called her literary masterpiece. Beautiful prose, every single sentence polished. It sold 47 copies. Around the same time, I worked with another author who took 6 months, focused on the emotional impact over perfect grammar, and started building a readership from day one. And you can guess which one is building a sustainable business now. And this isn't just my observation. There's a famous pottery class study that I love. So a teacher split the class into 2 groups. On one group, they got graded on quantity. So make as many pots as you can. 50 pots gets you an A. The other group got graded on quality. Make 1 perfect pot. By the end of the semester, guess which group made the best pots? The quantity group, every time. While they were cranking out pot after pot, learning what worked and what didn't, the quality group spent their whole semester sitting around talking about what makes the perfect pot. Now, look, I'm not saying we have to produce total crap. We just don't need to stop. We just need to stop focusing on perfection. So here's what I want you to understand. Let's be honest about what we're trying to accomplish here. If our goal is to write the next Hemingway, then yeah, we're totally going to fail at that. But if we want something that's commercially appealing and entertaining to people, and remember, that's what we're trying to do here, right? Entertain the readers. Give them some escapism. Then we need to start thinking differently. So this is the 80-20 book business rule. So there's lots of books out there that won't win any literary prizes, but they're doing extremely well. The classic example of this is 50 Shades of Grey. Definitely not a Shakespeare, but it built an entire empire because it hit people emotionally. It made them feel something. That book had grammatical issues, pacing problems, literary purists hated it. But the thing is that it sold over 150 million copies worldwide. Or we can even look at another example of Dan Brown's The Da Vinci Code. So the critics tore it apart. They called the writing wooden, the plot ridiculous, but it also sold 80 million copies and spawned a movie as well. These authors understood something that perfectionists miss. Readers don't buy a perfect manuscript. They buy emotional experiences. So Amazon doesn't care about your prose. It cares about your conversions. Readers don't leave reviews saying, oh man, that sentence structure was flawless. They leave reviews saying like, oh, I couldn't put it down, or I cried at the end of it. So what's the 80-20 breakdown? Here's what I mean. Your book cover gets them to click. Your blurb and your first chapter gets them to buy. Your ending gets them to review. Everything else is a nice to have, not a need to have. Most authors spend 80% of their time on the nice to haves. And the crazy part is that this approach actually makes writing way more fun. So focus on this. First, does the story grab people emotionally? Does it give them something? Does it give them that escape that they're looking for? Second is it good enough to publish? Not perfect, but good enough. And third, what happens when real readers start interacting with it? What kind of reviews, what kind of insight are we getting from them? Our readers or your readers are telling us exactly what they want if we're listening. Which ads convert, which blurbs make people buy, what emotional triggers actually work with our audience. Every book that we publish gives us more data to make the next book smarter. Right now, while you're watching this, someone just published their good enough book and got their first sale, while we are still editing. Let me give you 2 more examples from authors that I've coached. Author A spent 3 years on one book. Perfect everything, launched to crickets, 47 sales total. Author B used this approach, published their first book in 6 months, immediately started gathering reader feedback, launched their second book in 8 months later based on what they learned. Book 1 of theirs sold 500 copies. Book 2, or their second book, sold 2,000 copies. Same genre, similar writing ability, but author B understood that getting stuff out there, seeing how people respond to it, learning and adapting from it, the quality group had just sat there theorizing about perfection. Now, what I want you to take away from this video is to be less hard on yourself. Focus more on your overall goals and don't sweat the small stuff. Your main goal isn't to make sure every single word is perfect. It has to hit people emotionally, make them feel something. And once you give yourself permission to focus on that instead of literary perfection, it's actually liberating. You can start testing, you can start learning, you could learning what your actual readers want instead of guessing what they might want. Now, if this resonates with you, if you're tired of the paralysis by analysis, and when you start building something real, I've taken everything I've learned from $90,000 in testing and coaching over 300 self-published authors to market their books, and I put it into a full step-by-step system. It's called the Profitable Author Blueprint. Now, this isn't for authors who want to perfect their art. This is for authors who want to build a business. Inside, you'll get the exact framework we use to market books to an audience. The link for that is in the description. Grab it, watch it, apply it to your book, and watch what happens when you start chasing perfection and you start building momentum. I'll see you in the next one.